So thank you everyone for joining today. I am Dominique Davis and I serve as the 80th Student Government Association President. I am very excited to be here with you all today and I'm very thankful for our University President, Dr. Glover. Thank you for joining and her cabinet for all joining and clearing your schedules for us TSU students. I do ask if anyone have any questions, please place them in the chat box and we'll be sure to answer them. If by any chance your question is not answered today, we will be sure to send out an email with all questions that was presented to us and there will be an answer along with that question. Please stay muted unless told otherwise to respect those who are speaking to us today. And yes, I think that is all I have to say. So I will hand it over to Dean Stevenson and we will get started with today's town hall meeting.
Thank you, Dominique Davis and your administration. You all are absolutely awesome. At this time, we are now ready to receive our president, Dr. Glenda Baskin Glover. Come on, let's welcome her by just waving our hands at our screen. Thank you.
Good afternoon. It is such a joy to join you. It's always good when I can have conversations with the students. I wish we could do it in person, face to face, but we have to obey guidelines. Let me start by thanking you so much, Dominique. It is just your leadership. One would think that in this pandemic, no one will be able to see just how much you and your team, SGA, what you are really doing. You are kicking it in spite of all of this. I don't know how you do it. I guess it's the level of energy and commitment. Thank you for what you're doing. And thank you all for giving us, for setting aside some time for us to just have a chat so I can get some of the questions and answers you may have. But I want to start by just acknowledging Mariah Rose. Let's give her a round of applause for making to um, the top queens in the National HBCU Queens Competition. So Mariah, are you, if you're there, I can't see you. There's something on my screen, I can't see everybody. But that is a major feat for TSU, the second year in a row that this has happened. We really, really appreciate it. Let us know what you need us to do to help you go all the way. So we appreciate that. And then secondly, let's say this. I've talked to so many of the college presidents, especially HBCU presidents, and I hear the complaints about how the students there are getting in trouble at various other institutions. So I have to commend you all for what you're doing at TSU. Of course, I know you're restless. I am too. Nobody wants to be holed up and shut up like this for a whole semester. But I just want to keep you alive. If they ask you what you want to do to be graduated from TSU, the first thing is alive. And then you go into your career goal. So we want to make sure you make it through this pandemic. So we appreciate this, how you worked, how you handle this. This is not an easy situation. The mayor's having problems, the governor's having problems, and all of us are having some issues with it. You all are just, I know you're having problems, but it's how you're handling it that I'm speaking to. We all have some days that we wish we would start over, but we can't. So we just appreciate what you're doing in spite of these circumstances. You're managing to make it work. So we appreciate that. Okay, there are 2 or 3 things. You're a wonderful SGA president. I think we talked about midnight last night, Dominique. So I mean, I forgot. I may not have been told it there, but let me go over some of the issues that you presented to me. You had quite a few, but the top one, let me try to address them first. Then we can come back and handle some of the questions. But we're putting together a plan for next semester. But how we're going to handle it. We got one semester almost behind us. We got 3 weeks left, a little less than 3 weeks now, left in this semester. And so we're going to do the best practices. We're doing our assessment of what has happened. We had a THEC, the Tennessee Higher Education Board meeting this morning. And we listened to some of the things the other schools are doing. Then the presidents are meeting, the Tennessee presidents, and then the Tennessee HBCU presidents. We're going to meet, just compare notes to see how things are going with them. So we get the best practice out of it. Best practices always help us to improve, do things better next semester than this semester. So I'll be getting back to you, letting you know some of the things, that came out of the meetings we had with them. Okay, first thing I want to talk about is, I got 2 or 3 things that that came out of our conversation, Dominique, and then I got others I want to just mention. But let me just tell you, we have instituted, Dean Stevenson, you may want to address this, a telehealth process this semester that's going to allow you just to have access to medical professionals 24 hours a day, both physical and mental. If you have some challenges, you want to see a therapist, and there are some things that we know that you're going through. And I did ask if it was open to the faculty and staff. Right now, it isn't. It's just for students, because we have issues. We have issues too, but this is not out. This is not our means. It's really it's solely for you. So if you have any issues that you need to talk about anything, many of you call me sometimes and talk to you. Some of you last semester we implemented a pass fail policy because we're sensitive to what you're going through. We're sensitive to what's happening in your academic lives. And it's not the greatest situation. You didn't create it, so we don't want you to be penalized for it. So we want to do the same policy we had last semester with the pass fail. And the way we did it was that you could choose whether you want to do the pass fail. Obviously you have A in a class, you want to keep it A. But if you think you have a grade being challenged or threatened, you may want to elect to do a pass fail. And we'll give you the dates. I'll let Dr. Harris and the provost will work out the details of it. But we don't have any objection to doing that again this semester, because that's huge. We want to protect your GPAs. The only downside, there may be some challenges to get to the graduate schools may be a little less sensitive to it. But we write some letters to them and explain what happens and how we can help. We can mitigate that. We get a college president that writes a letter for you, especially since this national figure we have, this national move we have going now. We'll see if we can help you if it comes to challenge for graduate school or work or anything. Let's see what else. Graduation. Let me mention a word about graduation. We're not happy that we had to have a virtual graduation, because the biggest thrill of my life at TSU is May and December, watching you walk across the stage and putting a degree, a facsimile of a degree in your hand. Because that's what you worked hard for 4 years or 5 years or 3 years, whatever. So I really enjoy handing that to you. It bothers me too that you won't get a chance to do that. But we tried not to do a virtual commencement. We talked to the Tennessee Higher Education Commission. We talked to legislators. We tried to make it happen. We even tried to look at the Hale Stadium and doing it outside and equal distance outside, so that you would have enough safety in place. But we have an ordinance that you can't gather any more than, is it 20, 50 people? Or what's the number, JC? How many can gather in Nashville?
In the city of Nashville, the ordinance is now 50.
50, okay. I know it was a number that was so low, it couldn't meet out any threshold. But that has become a problem because we were just trying to see how we could do this and graduate, 500 or 600 students and still meet the guidelines. There was no place big enough that we have on campus, or that we have in the downtown, the area that will allow us to have that many people and still stay within code. So we had to go back to a virtual commencement. It's definitely not what anybody wants. And I just hope by May of next year, this will be over, so we can have both real commencement. We can have in-person commencement. That's where we are with that. Another thing was done. We talked to some other schools, see how they were doing. We talked to Tennessee schools. We talked to other HBCUs across the country. What are you doing for graduation? And many of them have, not many, but some have sent their students home for the semester. Some did not start the semester. They're all online. So they're very, I didn't find a single one that was doing an in-person commencement. As bad as we want to have that done, it just presents too great a risk. And again, my job is to keep you safe and keep you alive. But I don't want to have a spreader, a COVID spreader event, and many of you get sick. I just couldn't rule myself after that. So I think those are the main ones you brought up. Yeah, and let me say this, even though, even if somebody else was doing it, even if MTSU or Clarks or Murfreesboro, I mean, those two cities, Murfreesboro and Clarksville, they are a lot different from Nashville. We're an urban, we're an urban institution, we're an urban area, and it's more attractive, the risk, it attracts the risk was higher. The business majors and all that, Dominic, you all know what that means. The higher is the higher propensity for risk, the worse off the risk, the worse off you are. You want to make sure that you're covered at all times. I mean, it's a big sacrifice, not right now, to have a virtual commencement. And I honestly wish we didn't have to do it. But this is what has happened. This is what we've grown. So maybe now we can see that this is real and people understand it. I was at a board meeting. I sit on one of the board of directors around here in of a publicly traded company. And we'd have an in-person board meeting. Security Exchange Commission, and we'd have an in-person board meeting. The next day, well, not the next day, the next few days, I got a letter from them saying that somebody there had tested positive. Well, I had to go in quarantine. So for 14 days, I had to go in quarantine. I tested negative, but still, it's just the idea if you're in a crowd, you never know who has been exposed. And his family had tested positive, son and wife. And so it's a risk. You may not know about it. It's a risk you're taking. So I just tell you, that's one that I'm really more concerned about than others. Just making sure you're safe and you're not exposed unnecessarily. So before I turn it over to some other questions, I do want to thank you all for what you all did for this election. God will honor what you did for years to come. You all worked so hard. This girl went down to Memphis, went home and voted. I talked to somebody who drove 7 hours to vote and to come back to campus. It's paying off in about a couple of hours. I'm in touch with the Biden-Harris administration on a daily basis. The director of political activities for Joe Biden called yesterday. We went through all the numbers, and the thing is won. It's just they've got every precinct that's remaining, and in those precincts, they know which ones are Democrat, which ones are Republican. They've got their percentages, so they're going to win North Carolina by about 30 to 40,000 votes. They're going to win Georgia by about 3,000 to 4,000 votes, and they're going to win Alabama, Nevada, and Arizona. So it's a good day. So and everybody's aware of what the HBCUs did when Kamala Harris made her comments. She talked about we were with her all last weekend, and she talked weekend before last now, and she talked about how much she appreciated what HBCUs and the undergraduates are doing. But she didn't realize there was so much mobilization that could take place across the campus. She's very, very excited about that. And so I just appreciate that so much, how hard you all worked in this campaign, just exercise your right to vote. That is so basic and fundamental and so necessary. And I really applaud you for that. Now, let's get back to the serious stuff. Who has some questions I didn't answer? I tried to cover some of the basics, but I'm sure let's go to the chat room.
So Madam President, we have several questions that were pre-submitted. Okay. So I'm going to read some of those off, and you can identify which cabinet member or you may answer. For students who have questions during this time period, you can drop them in the chat and we'll work those questions in. Now, if it's a personal question, we will pull your information directly and talk to you directly. So if you have a question like, when will my refund check be here? We won't address that in the full body, but we'll have that conversation directly with you. All right, so we're ready to go. And I think the very first question that came up has been answered, but we'll go ahead and mention it. Will we be offered a pass-fail option this semester? So that you know, it was used at the end of last semester. So I believe you.
Yeah, we did cover that. Is there anything further need to hear on that? Because the details, we're going to work that out with the Provost Harris. He did check, when we talked about it, he did check to make sure that we covered all the bases and et cetera. Then we did talk to support this meeting, and it was worked out enough for us to let you know today. There's other things to be done, but still it's enough for us to let you know today that we can do that option.
Do you think putting all the classes online took a negative effect on the students and their grades?
Well, let's hope not. You know, anytime you change a mode of operation, especially when it comes to academic affairs, it requires some adjustment. So we're doing what we can with it. We're asking the teachers to be more liberal in their approach to grading, knowing what the climate we're in. We had hoped that we would come out of this, but you know, we're the only ones, African American, the only ones who believe this is real. Sometimes the younger generation doesn't believe it's real. And we see that people are dying. And I can barely say that 75% of our family, somebody knows somebody on the screen, somebody who's been affected by COVID. And maybe somebody who's passed away from it. So it is real. Based on that, we don't want to make it even worse than what it is. So let's hope that we it doesn't affect you in a negative manner. That's why we're going to try to mitigate that and try to put up a control factor. That's going to be the pass fail. We can select what we want to do a pass fail grade.
If the numbers continue to decrease, will the campus slowly open for students to convene?
You can answer that one.
Yeah, so the answer to that is absolutely. I mean, what we want to do is we're going to follow the science and we want to create as much opportunity as we can based on the numbers. And then, of course, the other component of that is that it also may require us to tighten up a little bit. So, but we certainly hope that the numbers will decrease. We do hope that we will be able to institute some things that we haven't been able to do in the fall, but that's going to be based on the science, and that's going to be based on how we act and how we continue to move in this country and in this city. Here's another question: will the bursar, admissions, and financial aid be working virtual in the spring or on campus?
I'm going to let Dr. Harris answer that question. The provost office is responsible now for financial aid and et cetera. So I want to make sure, but the bursar we can talk with, you can ask financial aid, Dr. Harris. Bursar's office will have Mr. Chase answer that question. So why don't you go first, Dr. Harris?
Sure. Thank you, President Glover, and good to see all of you, the President of Student Government, uh, Ms. Davis, who I worked with, Vice President, Mr. Sims, and others in the cabinet. So good to see all the students. As President Glover said, we have worked very hard to ensure a good and successful semester. In regard specifically to financial aid and records being open on the ground next semester, if nothing dramatically changes with the numbers, we will continue to do both on ground and working from home. So it will be limited accessibility on ground, but we will work very hard to open more channels for Zoom for you to be able to communicate and connect with people in financial aid.
Okay, very good. Mr. Chase.
Good afternoon, everyone. In regards to the bursar's office, yes.
Mr. Chase is the Vice President of Business and Finance, for those who don't know.
Thank you, Dr. Glover. Yes, in regards to the bursar's office, it will definitely be open. Of course, online will still be accessible, so you can contact either way, but the office will be open.
So everyone else is going to be on campus. So both of you want to make sure it's going to be
Yes,
on campus.
on campus.
Yes,
on campus.
Okay.
Okay, the next question says, will updates on coronavirus cases on campus be made more frequently and more accessible for students, faculty, and staff? If so, how?
Well, that's a good question. That's understandable. You have a case in the Dr. Johnson case. That's done from the Office of Chief of Staff, Dr. Curtis Johnson, who he's in charge of the overall management of this process, emergency management. And the Dean of Students, Associate Vice President Dean, that will feed numbers into them, but you also have your own numbers. Every Thursday, we have to report to the governor what's going on campus, all the campuses do in Tennessee. We report to the governor. That's what we're doing now. So I'm not sure the number is now. You know this thing, because it changed yesterday.
Yeah, I think our latest number, and I'm not 100% sure. I'll check with Dr. Height here in a second, but I think our latest number of total students who have tested positive was at 74. But now most of those have recovered. We only have a few in our isolation zone, and I'll get
It's
those.
not the same time. It was a
Yeah,
different
no,
time.
no,
than
no.
yesterday.
That's
This
70.
is from March to now. And some have
Yeah.
gone home, some tested positive at the house, some did, but I think the campus numbers are much, much.
Yeah, that's out of 1,800 students over the last 3.5 months. So that was a really, really good rate. Students did very well in protecting themselves this fall. Okay, it says, will we continue to have a curfew next semester? So I think this is associated with those that are staying in housing. And so right now we definitely have in place plan to have curfew during the safer in place. And then again, we will evaluate the numbers after that time. But we believe our intentions will be a curfew extended in the spring if the numbers are very similar to where they are now. It says,
So wait, let me make sure we get that. So the curfew, the curfew and the safer in place are two different things. So the safer in place, we'll put that in place, probably if we need to for the first, I gotta see what Tennessee Higher Education, how they, what their thinking is on it. But the curfew is different because there's some violations that have to occur. And we know we start losing control of the whereabouts. And, if we start getting calls from clubs and your students here doing this, we call from places, then we know that you're not really following a safe in place. You have to do a second level of enforcement. No one wants to have a curfew. Nobody wants to be, stuck so hold up like that. But if it gets to the point, we'll do whatever it takes to protect your state to keep you alive. We want to keep you safe and healthy. So let's make sure if there's no compromise with the rules, if you can comply with the rules and regulations, there won't ever be a problem. Especially at times when you know you're tired of it. We get that. But there are some we can make some exceptions, but there are times these are times that we just need to work with us a little bit more on this curfew thing.
okay, it says when are the CARES Act funds being given out?
Mr. Chase?
So with the CARES Act funds, and we've already given out funds for the CARES Act. I'm not for sure, Dean Stevenson, are they speaking of the portion that was for the
Hardship, yes, sir. Hardship, yes, sir.
Well, I think you might be able to address it better than me.
Is Amy Woods on the phone as well?
No, she's not here right now, but I know that they're working on it with you, Dean Stevens.
Okay, so we have completed, everyone who has submitted an application for the Hardship CARES Act funds, we have completed all of the review of those. And we have sent those over for verification to financial aid, who will then send those batches over to be placed on your accounts or into your accounts if you were approved. So we think that process will happen here very shortly, probably within the next week. Ms. Woods is not on the phone, but I believe we can speak to that moving pretty quickly. So TSU sports team will start to have games in the spring. The question is, will we be allowed to attend the game, and what will that look like?
Can't answer that one. I can only say that.
Well, I think Dr. Allen is on the call.
Oh, Dr. Allen, let's see.
Yes. Good Can you hear me? Good afternoon, student body government and leadership there and students. Appreciate the opportunity to speak to you today on this matter. We will have an opportunity in the spring for you all to participate in athletic events. So we're excited about the prospect of our athletics programs being able to compete in the spring. The entrance and the process to get into Gentry Center will be the same. You'll enter in the Hankel side of the stadium, the arena, and you will have to scan your IDs through our iPad system. You will be required to wear a mask. The sections that we'll have available for seating will be sections A, B, and C at the Gentry Center, and there will be a requirement that we maintain the 6 feet social distancing as the seats will be marked. The capacity, the number of students that we'll be allowing is 300, and that does not include the band. So we after your safer and place process, we're expecting you all to be in the arena on February the 11th. We have a doubleheader versus Morehead State at the Gentry Center for men's and women's basketball. And then we also have an event that when you go through your safer in place process that you all can attend on February the 8th, which is a volleyball event that will be at King Hall. So exciting to get the spirit back on the campus as it relates to athletics. And we certainly welcome everyone to our athletic events because we're gonna need you. We need you rooting for our Tigers, and I know you guys are gonna have a lot of passion and you're ready to get back involved in our athletics program. So that's my comments on that, Dr. Glover and Dean Stevens.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Allen. Yes, so Dr. Glover, these next two questions are probably falling in Chief Robertson's area. The first one is there anything being done about the lack of security on campus? And then the second question is, how do you report misconduct of an officer?
Okay, thank you, Dean Stevenson. I'm here, Dr. Glover. Thank you, Dr. Glover. I first want to thank for seeing so many students that are on this town hall so we can discuss some matters. And it looks like one of the questions from Ms. Kayla Jenkins, SGA. I first want to appreciate that you're concerned enough that you are observing or seeing something that's a lack of security on campus. One of the things that we have done, and you may have seen this, that we have hired third-party security with Ally Universal to be in places that can assist us with visibility. We also have 6 officers who are in the academy right now that are to graduate December 2nd. So you will see heightened individuals at that time. So currently we have had some shortages, but through Mr. Chase and Dr. Glover, they have allowed us to try to add additional personnel as quickly as possible. But one of the things also too, I see you wrote this, Ms. Jenkins, that you may not be seeing as many people in fixed post positions as you have in the past, because we've been concentrating more on the perimeter, adding more visibility to keep things from getting in. And we hadn't allowed seeing as many people in fixed post positions on the inside. But with that, officers graduating December and the addition of the Ally Universal personnel, you will see more people in viable fixed position places. So that will take care of that lack of security concern that you may think is not there. It's been there. It's just been moved to different locations to really show a viable presence at our perimeter. And secondly, to answer the question about something or misconduct from an officer, there are a number of ways. You all have great relationship with Dean Stevenson or Dean Heights. If any concern about an officer's conduct, please be sure that gets to us somehow. If you want to go to Dean's students and make them aware of a concern about a specific officer, then he or she can get that information to me. We will first begin a a complaint and unbiasedly investigate that complaint to the fullest. I promise you, to the fullest. We won't take in consideration that the officer is here, but we will definitely have to look at what the concern is and what the behavior, and we will definitely take a look at that. Then you can do that anonymously as well if you want to. Uh, do it through the our website, and it says complaints. You can do that. You can do it that way, or you can come in or see one of the supervisors and pass that information on to them. We will be more than happy to meet somebody somewhere away from campus, whatever it is to take. It takes for you to get that information to us so we can be assured that things are happening appropriately. We want that information to be received by our department, and we will, without question, look into it and see what needs to be done about behavior that's not being done appropriately.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief. Madam President, the next question I'll go to bat on, but I'll need Dr. Johnson to be on deck for the one after that about the new residence halls. So the first question here is, will students be allowed to stay in the apartments over the break? So that question
But
is,
let me say this before you answer. You know, that is frowned upon by the powers that be with the higher education and because of the level of services required. So even though they may not want to have service, they may not want to go cap food, but that's not one that's frowned, that they advance. But I think we're working out something to kind of get around some of there may be a few loopholes we're gonna try to get around for your sake. So let's do that. JC did not answer.
okay, yeah, that was great. So the next question here
Oh,
is,
go ahead and answer that one now. I just started. You can say, you can tell what they can do.
oh yeah, so it is, we're in a really tight situation because um if you stay on campus, you are our responsibility. We have to run a IQ zone, we have to have nursing staff, we have to be prepared in this pandemic for any and every person that stays on campus. And so on the recommendation of our president, we have made a few spaces available for students who have urgent situations associated with homelessness and some other special circumstances to be able to stay in the apartments. You should have received that email and can apply through that link. And if you got some detailed questions about that, Mr. Dookie is on here, and he can certainly, you can get in touch with him if you've got a unique situation where you will need to stay over the break. So here's a great question here. It says, what is the new resident hall going to be like? How many stories? Will there be any restaurants? Will there be gaming, meeting rooms, etc.? So if Dr. Johnson is on, you can give us kind of an overview to answer that question.
Good afternoon, everyone. I think the new residence hall bring a new level of excitement to the campus, and I'm excited to be a part of it. We tried to make this one of the most modern facilities in the state of Tennessee, and it will have 4 eateries in the facility. Right now, we're looking at a Twisted Taco, a Bojangles, a 2 other restaurants, Firehouse Sub, and 1 other restaurant in the facility. There will be a small workout room, a laundry facility, 2 patios. It'll have 3 tiers, a 4-story, 5-story, and 6-story tier. It will have a pod convenience store in the facility. And the configuration is to secure the facility, meaning that we'll be expecting persons to have their IDs, and the floors will be access controlled, so which means you'll need to have your ID to get off on the floor to a degree. Hopefully that answered some of your questions about the facility.
What would be available? I mean, they're gonna finish it, but it's not next semester, next fall, it's the following year.
Summer 22 is the completion date.
Yeah, most of you will be gone, but. Okay. All right.
Can the cost of tuition be less this semester and any semesters following due to COVID?
But that's been a question that's been discussed at the higher levels. And so far the answer is no. So there's nothing we can do about that one. We offered a discount for those who were not on campus. But it's kind of difficult. We kept tuition to zero increase. We just said we're not gonna increase tuition this fall. I'm not sure how it's gonna look next year, but so far there's no plan for an increase. I know it's not one for next semester. So it'd be kind of hard to do anything other than just hold it at zero increase. So it's kind of difficult to operate if you're gonna decrease it.
Can students that are on the dean's list get some type of reward other than a certificate?
I don't know what that means.
Will there be more funds available to assist with college tuition?
We always try to find, we beat the bushes day and night. Dominique will tell you that I don't rest at all. I spend my wake hours trying to find money for students. In fact, when I meet with somebody, they say, I'm thinking water today. I mean, it's jokes, but it's jokes now. But we do whatever we can to find money to keep you in school. As the last thing I want to hear, I always say the most chilling words the president can hear is from a student, I'm going home. Because we don't want that to happen to you. So we do everything in our power to find money for you. And I want you all to be a little bit more flexible when it comes to student loans. But unless you were born on the right side of the track and you came from a family that had money to spare, most people have to get a loan. And we have to help you manage how much you need. So you won't get it for the wrong reason, do the wrong thing with it. But sometimes you have to get a loan. You want to get things caught so bad that you're required to take out a loan. But we don't want you to get the more than you have to have. But don't always shake your head to loans because it's not the worst thing that you can do. Especially if everything else is exhausted, you exhaust every other avenue. We want to keep you in school.
Okay, will there be a final exam schedule? And if so, when will it be on the website?
I can answer that, President Glover, if you want me to.
You're on mute.
Okay, I can answer that if you want me to, President Glover.
Yes, I'll call you.
Sure. Yeah. A final exam schedule has been complete, and I believe a message went out. If not, we will make sure that it will go out today. But we have finalized it, and if it's not out, then it will be out within hours.
Well, we get that as soon as possible. Dr. Harris is probably the fastest person on this call for getting things out. So it'll be out.
Will May graduation be held in person?
We're planning, that's our plan. You know, that's the plan. We certainly hope so. We're not looking at, but I can tell you, if it's like it is now, we're not gonna be able to do a virtual one. But the projection from the doctors, and everybody has been saying, maybe the scientists, the projection from the doctors is that we will be able to resume a bit of normalcy starting sometime around mid-March or so. So we're hoping they're correct. It's in mid-March to end of March. That will allow us to have an in-person graduation may look different as to how you're going to be seated, et cetera. But right now, the plan is to do it in person.
President Glover, if I may add something, just actually, in fact, the final schedule is out there on the web, and we can send you all the link, but it is already out there. And if you go onto the records office, you'll find it there. And there was also an email that was sent out. So email was sent out, and you're welcome to go on the records office and you can see it. We were very considerate with students' flexibility and so on, and you will see it in the final exam plan.
Thank you so much.
Okay, next.
Let me ask Tori, let me ask Mr. Sims, if you have anything you want to add to this. I would like to add some deference to the officer. Tori, you have anything you want to do you have any questions or anything you want to add to this? I'm gonna come back and,
No, ma'am. Majority of my questions have been answered by the students. So, but if I do, I will let you know.
okay, I appreciate that. So Mariah and do you have anything, Mariah? Nathan? Just one of you, I have anything you want, any questions or any comments you want to have? I want to call and hear from you if you want to. Look at them.
Oh, hey, how y'all doing? Thank you guys for having us. So my first question, I had a question about, we just got on here, so did you guys discuss the CARES Act fund?
We did, but what's the question? We may not have covered it to your extent.
Oh, I was gonna ask about the status of those that got approved for the fund. Some students actually
The
questions.
emergency funding, they still said, they still give an answer about that. So you look you.
Yeah, so thank you, Nathan, for that question. We did kind of address it earlier, but everyone who has applied, we have reviewed all of those applications and currently sent them to financial aid. So financial aid is reviewing them, then they will send them to the bursar's office to be placed on your accounts. I suspect that should happen. Some students will be getting those within the next week.
Okay. And if you don't, you can, Dr. Harris is also responsible, I guess I'm also responsible, but he is responsible for financial aid unit. And so, he's always said, if there's a question you have, you can't get to financial aid, you can always get to the phone. All right.
Dr. Glover.
Queen Mariah.
Yeah.
You have,
Thank you, Dr.
Glover. The winner and
Thank you. So we were actually doing our runs with the dorms yesterday.
Champions Hill. You have a question?
Ma'am.
Yeah, go ahead, Mariah.
Okay, we were doing our dorm runs yesterday, and it came to our attention that Watson Hall is, they only have one working washing machine. Do we have a status update on that or anything?
Mr. Chase?
I'm not sure specifically, but I do have Al Hill on here and he can probably address that. Mr. Hill?
Hey, are you on? Mr. Al Hill?
Let me
Dr. Johnson. Dr. Johnson, can you see if you can help out with that?
This is the first I've heard of only one working machine in a facility. Now, I know we were having some electrical problems with some of the facilities, and I didn't know, and we have a way to report that by scanning the barcode and reporting it. So this is the first I've heard of only one resident. We check them weekly. So I will ask someone to go over and check and see what's going on.
Okay, thank you.
And
always let us know, because don't assume that we know this. Probably somebody should know and be reporting it, but don't assume that it's known to the top leadership. So if something over there's always that Dean Stevenson know, so he can get to the right person. Go ahead, Mr. Chase.
No, I was just going to say, I'm going to be checking with Al while we're on the call here and see if we can get a response to that, though.
Yeah, sir, I'm here, and I will get, I wasn't aware of it, but we'll get that fixed as quick as possible.
Okay, so let's make sure, because that says the process needs to be kind of beefed up a little. If there's a washer not working or there's some malfunction in the residence halls, let's make sure we get to the residence hall, our age, so they can know. They get to our report to Dean Stevenson. So they must know about us so we can get it fixed.
Yeah, thank you, Queen, for bringing that to our attention. I guarantee you that will be taken care of immediately. All right, so Dr. Glover,
Dr. Glover, I'm sorry to interrupt, Dean Stevenson.
No, go ahead, Tori.
But there's some students, including myself, that like goes home to like violent environments. So to clear it up, is it like it is a sheet where you can request to stay over the break?
It is. We have a population that's different from the somewhat different from the other universities. There's some distinctions that TSU may not be in other places. So we're trying to get around some of the things in place. So we're gonna see there, we put together, Jay Stephen has worked out an emergency situation.
I'm on a Zoom call.
And he's going to work through with you, with everyone. He said it earlier, so you want to repeat that, James, because they will make it. I know, Mariah and Nathan were late getting on, so you may want to repeat that. About staying up and holiday.
Yeah. So we do have a process for students who have unique situations to apply to stay over the break. We will evaluate every one of those on a case-by-case scenario. So that email was sent out to everybody that stays in the apartments. And if you haven't received that yet, then just go ahead and Mr. Dookie is on, Ms. Lewis is on. They can kind of direct you on what you need to do if you're interested in applying for that special opportunity to stay over the break in those limited number of slots over the Christmas break. So we can make those available if you fill out that.
Yeah, some emergencies I'm asking, I know that, but you know you're gonna have a continuing emergency, then just go ahead and apply for it now.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Dr. Johnson here. Will the new dorm be co-ed so that I can stop sneaking into my girlfriend's room? No, I added
Get that name and number for it.
I added the last part of that, but they don't want to know about co-ed. I added the last part.
The facility is designed to be co-ed and co-ed in multiple types of formats. So it can be co-ed if that's what the university desires for it to be.
Yeah, some of you who may be old-fashioned like me, you may not want to be in co-ed, and so we're gonna have that worked out so that there's a part of it can be co-ed, a part is not co-ed.
Right, and that was factored into the design, in that some persons, because many of your parents don't want you living in a co-ed facility, and so in turn we factored it into the design to do the best we could in making it best benefit all involved.
Okay, so the next question is, why are students in SGA not offered more benefits such as free housing, books, scholarships, etc.? And I can take a stab at that, Madam President.
All right.
So we have increased the benefits of the top 4 over the last 3 years. And I would, since this issue has been brought to our attention, I would challenge Dr. Morgan to study other institutions, similar institutions, and look at their packages for their students. And we can evaluate opportunities for our students as well. We do know that student leaders do put in a lot of time. It's a lot of work, and we want to be fair. And some of that is your own budget. So that means that to some degree, if you take and put more on scholarships for student leaders, you have less for programming. So some of the administrations wanted more for programming and less for scholarships. But I think it's something that we can, it's been a while since we really looked at it. So I think it's something we can look at. I would be in favor, for instance, of giving all of the SGA students some level of a book scholarship. We could start there, maybe $300 for all the SGA members. We could start there. But Dr. Morgan, I'm going to challenge you and the SGA to look at other universities and bring some recommendations to me and the president.
Because we're not tone deaf to this. When we got the new boards, but we went from the Tennessee Board of Regents system to the new governing board we have now. 3 or 4 years ago, we had new student trustees. We're to look and see what other schools, it was a new model, what other schools were doing. And so we were doing nothing for our trustee at first. And we saw what the other schools were doing. So we said, well, we got to just be competitive, or nobody's going to do this. So the same with here. So we want to look and see what is it that's going on that in the industry, in the academic industry, so we can make sure you remain competitive. James already put something on the table. So we just see, we're working out. It's hard to do something in the middle of the semester though, so it's best to try to look at things for next fall. We do things on a fall to fall basis. All right, so you can take a few more. So put in 150.
Yes. Will Rudolph continue to be one person to a room in the spring? That is our current plans right now.
But if someone just put a question in, the OER could possibly, okay, good question, got it, all right. What's the question?
Does the university have plans to renovate the current dorms or deeply clean?
I'm gonna ask Mr. Hill to go first and Dr. Johnson.
Yes, ma'am. We're going to clean all of the, deep clean all the vacant rooms over the break. As far as renovating the dorms, I know we have some small projects on hand to clean up the lobbies, but right now I don't know of any large scale renovation projects in the dorms, in the residence halls, I'm sorry.
Okay, Dr. Johnson.
In the long-term plan, the master plan the university has developed, the intent is to demolish the older dorms and build new apartments in their current locations. That's the long-term plan. In the near future, we've been conversing about doing some renovation, making the older facilities more attractive, painting, fixing up some of the mechanical infrastructure, and doing some modification like weight rooms and wellness centers and lounges and things of that nature. So there have been conversations about where do we go in the immediacy and where do we go long term.
And I'd also like to add that we've done an assessment of all the buildings on campus, including the residence hall, so we can get an idea about the structure and what things are immediate need. And we also are now about to go ahead and start a project to determine what things need to be addressed now that we have the assessment. So that's going to help us in determining things that need to be top priority and as we move forward. Then it's just a matter of providing the funds for that.
Excuse me, sorry to interrupt, but is it feasible if we can drop the link for those who reside in the apartment so that they can submit a request to stay over break, please? A lot of students are contacting me saying that they are not able to locate that in their email. So if we can just send that one more time, that'd be amazing, or drop it in the chat. Thank you so much.
Mr. Dookie or Ms. Lewis, can you address that?
Well, put it in the chat.
Can you put that in the chat?
Yeah, definitely. We'll put it in the chat.
Okay. Dean?
Okay. Will the university power wash the outside buildings and signs on campus?
So ask that again, because that's a question, that's, that's low hanging fruit.
Will the university power wash the outside buildings and signs on campus?
So I want Mr. Hill and Mr. Chase to hear that one, because that's a question we get regularly about making sure that we can do some power washing of the buildings. That's low hanging fruit. So.
If I could, ma'am, we've actually started that this summer. We've cleaned up John Merritt Plaza. We've did some stuff over at Wilson Hall. We're getting ready to do some stuff at a pavilion. But I've got the guys all over campus. We did the amphitheater, if anybody's been by that lately. We've done the courtyard outside of the campus center, and we've also did that courtyard between the campus center and the library. So we're getting through the campus pretty good. And so yes, we are continuing to do that.
Okay.
Stephen, if I can update them right quickly on the Watson laundry room. I have someone over there now who said that there are 4 machines in use and there's 1 machine unplugged, and they're going to find out why that 1 machine is unplugged.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Johnson. All right.
Thank you, Dr. Johnson.
Okay, Madam President, the next question is, it's a little lengthy, but I think it's worth reading. It says, what can be done next semester to help with the financial aid process? I've worked for months to get financial aid taken care of swiftly but the process of submitted documents are not that efficient. Every document sent takes weeks before it even reviewed. The communication is minimum and the people working don't have answers to help. Will there be more people to assist in this process in the spring?
Dr. Harris, that is your question.
Thank you, President Glover. And thank you for the question. We are fully aware that some adjustments need and are being made in financial aid to enhance responsiveness and students getting answers in a timely manner. I was actually just corresponding with Ms. Davis about having a workshop about filling up FAFSAs for students. We are also making on the ground several changes. We're adding personnel to the office. They were short on their personnel. We are making some administrative and other structures. We are going to also make it easier to get responses in a timely manner. So I share the frustration. We want you to be able to access and get responses way faster. And I assure you that we are moving pretty fast to make changes that that will result in more responsiveness and working with student government in a collaborative manner to identify exactly the issues. So the answer is yes, definitely yes. And we will also try to add more Zoom time that students can get on and get answers to questions they have.
Okay, Madam President, we're gonna put one more question out here. Whatever questions we didn't get to, we will certainly get answered. But our last and final questions is, how will students, faculty, and staff be reprimanded for not adhering to coronavirus policies?
Okay, I want you answer and I'm gonna follow behind you.
Okay, so let me say we are taking this really serious. We've had 2 students that were suspended this semester for failure to comply at some level with coronavirus policy, whether it's completing their time in the IQ zone. And so they were suspended from housing immediately. And so we're taking it very seriously. When students report and give us information, so if you're positive, your roommate is going to tell us. That's what's happened this semester. Roommate is, I don't care how cool you all are, your roommate is not going to let you just chill in the room and be positive. And so when we get that information, we're taking action aggressively. We're really serious. It's a zero tolerance, and that will continue in the spring.
Now, you have to know how serious we are about this. It's so serious, though. I've intervened a couple of times in there. Someone has gone out of town or gone home, and unfortunately it's positive. It's a bad situation. We get it, but we can't let it spread, because that's how you can become a super spreader. So that's it.
All right, Madam President, that we will answer the rest of the questions that we have in the chat. Dominique just put some information in the chat that I think everybody should know, and I'll let her give some final words, and we will conclude this great meeting and discussion with our university president.
Well, thank you. Let me turn back over to Dominique. Let me just say thank you again for participation. We have had meetings where nobody will say anything. You see, it's not this group. This is not the 2020 students. This is not you. So we thank you for your participation today. And anytime, no matter how busy we might be, we're paid to be busy. We're paid to stop from being busy and meet your needs. So don't ever think, because people say to me, the first thing, you're so busy, I don't want to bother you. But you have to bother me. That's what I get paid to do, to be bothered. So stop us, and we're here to meet your needs. But I often say, if you leave, what happens? I have to go with you, because there's nobody here for us to teach. All right, so Dominique.
Yes, thank you so much, President Glover, and thank you to everyone who was participating today, and all of the staff for being on the call and being so transparent with all of us. I'm going to hit the comment that I just put in the chat first. Our Miss Tennessee State University has advanced to top 10 for one of the competitions that she's in, and she's also in another competition. And the links are unlimited to vote. So if you all can continue to vote, vote, vote. One competition closed today. Miss TSU, is that Miss HBCU that closes tomorrow? I'm sorry, is it tomorrow?
It's Miss HBCU's People's Choice Award that closes tomorrow.
Yes, so if you all can take that link and continue to vote. If you're watching TV, just keep voting. It's unlimited. We want to make sure that Tennessee State University stays in first place and that we bring home that win for our beautiful queen. Miss People's Choice Award closes on November, what? November 16th. All right, so make sure we're voting for her, and we greatly appreciate that. Also to the students here, I also want you to know that our president works extremely hard, as well as all of her staff and faculty, every day to ensure that we have the best experience here at TSU. So continue to voice your ideas, continue to voice your questions. We are here for all of you, and we never want you to feel unheard. All of your voices matter, and we care about you. So continue to reach out to me, continue to reach out to our president and all of those who are on this call, so that we can make sure that this experience for you all is great. We do understand we're in a pandemic, but we are trying our hardest to make sure that everyone is staying safe and everyone is enjoying their collegiate experience. And I want to thank you all for joining today. I appreciate you all. I'm here for you. Everyone else is here for you. And I pray that you all stay safe this weekend and continue to watch the election.
Oh, thank you so much. Goodbye.